Hey everybody, it is the Quant Edge Video Series presented by Fantasy Sports Markets. He, of course, my guy Derek Brown. I am Ben Heisler, and dearest mother, Andrew Luck is retired at the age of 29. Hopefully some of you guys get that reference, but for those of you who don't, go follow Captain Andrew Luck on the tweet machine. So Derek, there are lots of questions. Many people had their drafts earlier this week. Some have their drafts coming up this week. A lot of people asking questions about Jacoby Brissett. Do you consider him a draftable quarterback in typical leagues?
Unless you're talking about two quarterback or super flex leagues, nah, Ben, I'm staying away. I'm higher on Brissett than most, but I'm not touching him in one quarterback leagues.
I think that's perfectly fair considering the success of the offense a season ago, that there's still plenty of playmakers there. So let's touch on some of them because there's a lot of guys that people want to figure out what to do with, and we've seen some ADPs fall monstrously. To start with Marlon Mack, this is a guy at the end of July was hanging at the end of the third round. He's dropped all the way to 408. I believe running back 24 off the board. That feels like too big of a drop to me. Does it to you?
Oh, it's absolutely insane because the fact of it is nothing changed about their offensive line. Still going to be top 5. You look at Frank Reich. Yes, they were 17th in rushing attempts last year. You know that's going to tick up this year with Jacoby Brissett. They're not going to go super pass heavy. And Reich, the 2 previous seasons in Philadelphia, was top 10 in rushing attempts. So it's wheels up. I think you got to be snagging Marlon Mack in trades, in drafts, everywhere you can get him.
All right, what about Andrew Luck's favorite wide receiver, T.Y. Hilton? They shared a very memorable moment. The two of them were close friends. You're losing a reliable option for T.Y. Hilton, and he's also fallen all the way from the early part of the third round down to the tail end of the fourth round. I think he's the wide receiver 20 off the board, going at around 411 right now. That also seems a little bit too high for somebody as productive as T.Y. Hilton.
I think it's crazy. I mean, he's going to continue to fall down draft boards, and if you still have a draft coming up, you have to be snagging T.Y. Hilton. We just got to look at it. I mean, everyone wants to point to Jacoby Brissett and what he did in 2017. This is not the same team. They do not have the same play caller. Let's all give some credence to the fact that Frank Reich is better at his job than Rob Jasinski. Okay? That needs to be said. And considering how T.Y. was used in those different years with both different play callers, you head over to the Quant Edge, you look at the wide receiver cornerback tool, you go down to route metrics, and you look at the separate years. T.Y. Hilton under Rob in 2017 was used only as on an A-dot less than 10, all of his targets, 41% of the time. So that's to say he was used as a downfield weapon mostly because under Reich you saw that bump to 52% of the time. So I think Jacoby Brissett, his deep ball is not great, but that's not what they're going to ask him to do. T.Y. Hilton is going to be used in those shorter areas of the field, and he's going to get yards after the catch. So it's wheels up for T.Y. Hilton for me.
Especially considering his home road splits as well and how good and dominant he's been inside Lucas Oil Stadium. I think those numbers are going to stay fairly consistent and probably more consistent than people would think. Last but not least, and this is a guy that I think the fantasy collective world has been fading in Eric Ebron. You're not supposed to chase after touchdowns after a remarkable season from him. Where do you stand on him? Where do you stand on somebody like Jack Doyle without Andrew Luck this year?
I think they're both fall into the streamer category. I was higher on Doyle than I have been on Ebron, but if you want to take a shot, I'm still on Team Doyle, but both of them fall into that streamer category for me.
So there you go. As we head into week 4 of the fantasy season, we are so close to the start of the NFL regular season, but week 4 fantasy is still going to be happening. Debro, you have a column coming out this week?
Yes, sir. Thursday is the monster, the Goliath of all 32 teams playing, and I'm currently working on a snaps column with one of my buddies over at the Quant Edge, and we're going to break down all 32 teams and basically kind of give you a bird's eye view of what to take away from stats and snaps for the last 3 weeks.
It was a big week over for users of the Quant Edge for week 3 of the preseason. Meanwhile, hopefully you'll take that information, use it in our free contest. It's the final free contest of the NFL preseason over at Fantasy Sports Markets. First place wins $50 to NFLshop.com. And of course, if you look below, just for following us on Twitter, you have a chance to win $100 to NFLshop.com. Plus, college football is here as well. Plenty of daily fantasy football options are right around the corner. For Derek, I'm Ben. Thank you guys for watching. It's the Quant Edge Video Series presented by FSM.